Grüß dich. Welcome to episode 7 of our Common Classroom Mistakes series. This unit is just two quick things. First thing I want to mention to you really isn't a rule, and it's really not something that I would say necessarily people are getting wrong because the directions don't say to do this, but when you're making your chart of activities and times on this assignment, the best practice, the thing that you should be doing, is avoiding filling it out like this. You want to have a different activity and a different time of day for each box that you're filling in. And I say that's a best practice for two reasons. One, it shows me that you know more vocabulary than just one word that you're repeating over and over again. And two, what happens is, if I see a mistake, I tend to see the same exact mistake happening again and again and again and again each time you put it in. So if you get the time wrong, for example, and if you notice I snuck in a mistake here, I've spelled Sieben wrong, and now because I just copied the same thing over and over and over again, I have the same mistake 4 times. And then if I'm going to copy that into my paragraph, I'm starting to make that same mistake there. And it could be other mistakes, spelling, grammatical, anything like that. So the best practice, put a different activity for each day, put a different time. And honestly, I'd say probably just put one activity per day. Don't try and overflow it with stuff. Just think nice, simple, so you're communicating exactly what you're supposed to, filling in the prompt, but not making it overly complex on yourself. The next thing that I think is important in this unit that's not really covered specifically is the verb order. But that becomes important in this unit because in English we do the verb order a little bit different than we do in German. In English, the verb would typically come either second or third. We might say, I go to school at 7 o'clock, or if we want to change the word order, we could say, at 7 o'clock, I go to school. Go, the verb is sometimes second, sometimes third, and that's totally fine, totally understandable. German is a little bit more rigid. In general, the verb, or the sentence order, is much more flexible in English, but the verb order is much more rigid. And the rule of thumb that we always like to remind students of is that the verb goes second. And that doesn't necessarily mean the second word, but it's the second thing, the second part, the second thing in the sentence. So here I have a couple example sentences of the sentence written out correctly. 7 Uhr gehe ich zur Schule. So we can start with the time, and that's totally fine. Ich gehe zur Schule, or ich gehe 7 Uhr zur Schule. I have trouble there because I'm turning around to read it, but I want to face the camera as I talk. So I forgot what I wrote exactly. And then lastly, we could even say, zur Schule gehe ich 7 Uhr. And all those are totally correct forms. And you notice the verb goes second. Verb, verb, and then verb. Here it's the fourth word, but it's still the second thing, the second part of the sentence. What I get a lot of the times on this is that students, if you're not aware of this, you just phrase it exactly the same way you would in English, and I sometimes see things like 7 Uhr, ich gehe zur Schule. And you notice that's violating your rule that the verb goes second, because 7 Uhr is the first thing, ich is the second thing, and that makes your verb go third. So that's just something to keep in your mind, keep aware of. And then, as a sort of a last thought on this video, I'll expand this. That's the first part of the rule for the verbs. The verb goes second. Because then, this is another area that German departs from English. We keep our verbs together. I want to go. There's two verbs there, want and go. And we put them right together. In German, your first verb goes second, and any other verbs that would go in the sentence would go to the end. So if we wanted to say, I want to go to school, 7 Uhr will ich zur Schule gehen. And then gehen is all the way at the end of the sentence. So some extra information maybe for you. Though those words, those concepts will come up later in class, but as long as we're doing this and I'm telling you the rules, I want to give you the full rule. So, let me know if you have any questions. We want to make sure that you do awesome.